Hi, and welcome to Stressed, the podcast to develop your stress resilience. Being ambitious and successful while living a happy life is possible. Learn how you can better cope with stress in day-to-day situations by applying tools and techniques that work for you. My name is Julia Arndt, and I'm extremely grateful that you decided to check out my podcast today. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to Stressed, the podcast to develop your stress resilience. On time for the new year, I wanted to talk about an exciting topic that I have just recently started to experiment with myself: a new routine. I didn't want to call it a New Year's resolution or goal episode because we all know they don't have a reputation to stick around for too long. Instead, I want you to think of this as a little impulse to think about a ritual or routine that you have that you could develop or start with. And no, it doesn't have to be January 1st. It can be any day of the week at any point in time. In this episode, you will learn what a routine or ritual is, how you can find a routine that works for you, and how to make a routine a habit that sticks. So let's get started. In my research of learning from the best and brightest, listening to international podcasts, talking to my sister who's a coach for single moms, and reading interesting books on mindfulness and resilience, I had read many times before of how people created a new routine that positively impacted their daily life. But what is a routine or ritual? Rituals are a series of tasks that are completed in the same order, and the intent is to provide energy and enjoyment along with structure. It is a carefully selected process that has a positive side effect outside of the task being completed. And a routine is a series of tasks that are completed in the same order without necessarily having a positive side effect, even though I think a routine is also often of positive nature. So how did this all start? A friend of mine, who's a successful Ironman, besides his full-time job, had told me in a chat how a new morning routine had completely changed his life in a positive way. Before his first training session, he would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to meditate for 5 minutes, read the news, journal, make breakfast, and get ready for his day. I thought he was totally crazy. Never in my life would I give up my sacred sleep for activities like that. For what reason? But it did intrigue me, because it was not the first time that I had heard about the seemingly magical way of creating a ritual and more mindfulness. In the second half of last year, I had a lot of time to think about my habits, rituals, and routines, and I was finally ready to try it out. There were some things that I had heard and learned about during my yoga trainings, like for example brushing the teeth and scraping the tongue right after getting up or drinking a warm glass of lemon water before having breakfast. That I definitely wanted to try out. And one of the things that bring a lot of pleasure for me and help sort my thoughts is writing. So that should become part of my new routine as well. Finally, I started to recognize the effects on my mind when checking my phone right when I woke up in the morning. Distraction from the important things, especially time that I missed because of that. A million thoughts already going on in my head about to-dos that I had to get done during the day, and the sheer fact of spending 10 to 15 minutes of my valuable time scrolling mindlessly through my Instagram feed for absolutely no gain. So I really wanted to remove this as a habit in the mornings as well. So what did I do? In October 2018, I started with the following morning ritual. I would get up in the morning and not check my phone first, but go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, scrape my tongue, go downstairs to have a warm glass of lemon water, and start journaling. I would write everything down that was on my mind, everything that I did the day before, things that I wanted to do today, and I would also always finish with at least 3 things that I felt grateful for. And after I was finished with all of these things, then I would make breakfast and start looking at my phone. And at the beginning, it was really difficult to do that because my phone would ring usually an hour before I had a meeting or I wanted to go out and had something to do. And sometimes I just snoozed my alarm for 3 or 4 times and I would get up way too late and I wouldn't have time to do all the things that I just listed. And I was a little bit upset about it pretty quickly because I'm a person that really likes to accomplish things and complete things. And when I set my mind to something, I'm really trying to do it. So the first few times it was difficult. Sometimes I got to do it. Then, sometimes I would just snooze my alarm and then I would feel super tired, get up and only get done 1 or 2 of the things that I just mentioned. So after a while practicing that, maybe for a week or 2, I really started to feel the effects of it. I felt a lot less stressed and a lot more mindful in the morning. And I really loved to have time for myself before, spreading out my energy to everyone else that I had to get back to on my phone or emails or meetings or anything else. It was really the time for myself, and it brought me a lot of joy. And at some point it was super easy to do my morning routine every morning because I just had so much fun with it and I saw the effects of it that I even did it during the weekend. Now I do it all the time. Every morning when I get up, I'm making sure I have an hour for myself before doing anything else. And if I do need to take a shower, for example, in the morning, I incorporate that into my daily routine as well. And I don't look at my phone. And I really keep that away from me because I know that there will be a ton of messages waiting for me, and it's okay if they wait another hour. And that's why I would really, really advise you and recommend to you to try this out for yourself as well. So today, one of the first questions I ask my coaching clients is if they have some sort of ritual or routine, no matter if it is in the morning, during the day, or at night before they go to bed. Because everybody has a different schedule during their day and has a different family situation. One of my friends, for example, has a little child and she can't have a morning ritual and routine for herself in the morning because she has to take care of her daughter. And it's the same when she comes home because she will go to work, come back from work and spend time with her daughter. So I proposed to her to choose something that she could do in the evening before she would go to bed. Especially because a lot of people have a hard time to sleep in the evening, and an evening routine can really help with that as well. So think about what you would like to do, what brings you joy, what would you like to do that you usually don't have time for. This brings me to the next part of this episode, which is how do you create a new routine or ritual? The first thing is you need to have a big why. Why do you want to create a new routine? It needs to be strong enough that you stick with it. And who could a routine be for? Well, obviously it can be for yourself, but it could also be for your family or for your team. Maybe you're managing a team and you want to show up more focused and concentrated for your team in the future. So think about why do you want to create a new routine? The second step is what do you like doing? And that can be obviously and should be the fun part. What do you like doing? Is it reading the newspaper in the morning? Do you like to cook in the morning because you really enjoy cooking and eating healthy? Do you like to spend 15 minutes with your child playing mindfully? Or would you like to take a hot shower in the morning? Or it could be in the evening, having a warm glass of nice tea or water. Whatever it is that brings you joy, put this on the list. And we get into how you're gonna create this routine on a day-to-day basis and how you can get into that habit, but don't add too many items to the list at the beginning. Maybe start with something small. Start with doing something for 10 minutes every day. And that brings me to the third part, which is set a little SMART goal. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So set a goal that is small, specific, measurable, realistic, and timely. For example, I would like to start journaling every day for 10 minutes for the next week. Is it realistic? Maybe it is not. Maybe at the beginning you want to start with only 2 or 3 times per week journaling, and then you will increase that, and then you will maybe add something else to that list. But really think about something that brings you joy and think about what is realistic to do. And the last thing that I would like you to encourage to do is to start telling people about your new goal. Maybe find an accountability buddy, as we call it in the corporate world, and tell somebody about your new goal. That could be your partner, your husband or wife. It could be your parent or a good friend. It could be maybe a coworker that you're getting along with very well. And tell them why you want to do a new routine and what exactly you want to achieve. And then have them hold you accountable for this. And lastly, now that we've talked about how you create a routine, I also want to talk a little bit about how you can create a routine that actually sticks. There's a lot of research out there that talks about how you can create a habit, and some people say it takes 21 days, some people say it takes 28 days, some people say it takes, 2 weeks. There's a lot of different research. In my own personal experience, when I do something for 2 to 3 weeks, it's usually it sticks around. And obviously you need to find something that you enjoy as well, where you see a benefit from it. So, I would encourage you to really try something for a period of 2 to 3 weeks, even though you start maybe in the first week with only 2 times journaling or 2 times doing that activity that you chose, and then you increase that to 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I do my morning routine even during the weekend because I enjoy it so much and I see such a big benefit coming out of this. So make it something that really sticks around, and don't be afraid to drop it if you figure out that that's not for you, I mean, it's probably the best example that if you're trying to do something and you can't get to do it, that it's probably not something that you enjoy very much or where you don't see a huge benefit in it. So that's totally fine too, Find something that you really enjoy doing and that could benefit your health, your family, whatever it is. And I think the cool thing as well, what I'm just thinking about is that if you start a new habit every month, imagine every first of a new month, you're starting with a new habit. You have 12 new habits at the end of the year. And that's a huge achievement. That's a really cool thing to do, which is why I enjoy it so much as well. And I see a huge benefit in it. And it could even be reading for 15 minutes in the morning, or it could be reading in the evening. It could be sitting down with your partner and having a nice chat. So whatever it is that brings you pleasure, start to integrate it into your day. So what are the learnings of today's episode? First, creating a routine can help with decreasing your stress levels and bringing more structure into your day. 2, the elements of your routine are super individual and adapted to what you need. And 3, when building a new habit, start small, test out for a little while, and then slowly add the next item. I really hope you're having a lot of fun creating your new routine, and I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions for me, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Until then, remember, stress management is a skill that everyone can learn. You are already on the right track to make sustainable changes to your professional career and personal life. I wish you all the best. Hear you soon. With gratitude, Julia. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be extremely happy and grateful if you could leave me a comment and a 5-star rating. If you know someone who would benefit from the information I talked about today, please feel free to share it with them, no matter if it is your friends, your colleagues, and/or your family members. You will always find all links and the summary of the podcast in the show notes. It would be great if we could connect on Instagram or via email. You can find all details of how to find me in the show notes as well. In that way, you can also send me any questions that you might have. I'm glad you're listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for your trust. With gratitude, Julia.